Hey folks, Jared from Southern Homesteads here. In today's video, we're going to go through assembling the floor system and preparing for our subfloor.
Okay, so we're set up to do our first section of flooring here. I went ahead and just put 3 of those 2x4s out of that kit 3. Those are our universal brace 2x4s. They're not going to be used later in construction other than for helping us brace things up. So they're going to be taken in and out over and over and over again. We have 2 8-foot 2x10 boards. Those are going to be our ends. We have 1 long 2x10, 2 short 2x6s. Okay. One thing just to mention when we're talking about kiln dried lumber, when we say 2x10, it's actually 1.5 inches by 9.5. So if you get a tape measure out and you're thinking he keeps saying 2x10, this is not 2x10. That's normal. That's standard. That's what they are once they're planed down. So we're going to go ahead and create our first square here. So take this, start on this end. Move this up. We take this 2x6. We want to make sure we're lining up to the top and to the outside, okay? We're going to put a couple of nails in this. Okay, now on the opposite side here, we're going to take this 2x10 and that's going to have to line up to the outside here. So okay, those nails are in. Let's go ahead and set this other side. I'll show you where this 2x6 goes. So same thing over here. I'm just going to pick up, line up my top and my outside. Oh. Okay. Come on. Just a little bit. Okay. And a little bit, yeah. Okay. 2x10 one side, 2x6 the other side. Now we're going to go ahead and take this next 2x6. We're going to slide it in tight up against the 2x10. All the way in. It's going to come all the way up to the top. You may have to use a hammer to adjust this around. So, you want it flush up at the top, tight up against your 2x10. We're going to go ahead, just put a couple of nails in it. I say a couple, but I do 3, so I guess that's technically a few. Okay, let's just check, see if we want to make sure that the top is lined up all the way around. More nails in here. Nail guns always run out at the most inopportune times. So now I'm just going to stagger nails all the way down this. High, low, about every foot. Switch sides here. Throw a couple more from the inside over here. Okay, so our first section is ready to go up, almost. We need to measure and mark our halfway point So our overall on this is 141 inches. So we're going to be at 70.5 inches. So go ahead and mark 70.5. Now I'm going to use my square and run this line all the way down. Let's do the same on the other one. $70.5. Okay, now when we set this up on top of that center beam, that should line up with the line in between those 2x8s that we put together. So we're going to set this 2x6 on the beam. The 2x10 will be to the outside of the beam. That will be sitting down in the center. So we're going to go ahead and grab this. Go ahead and walk your way. Yep, watch the hole, watch the hole, watch the hole. Okay, all the way around. Go ahead and now, whoa, where are you going? Where are you going? Over here to the outside. Set this. Now, if we've done this correctly, we should be able to let it go and it should almost balance. We are now lined up in the center. We're going to go ahead and grab these 2x4s. Great news is we should be done working on the ground for a while. So we're going to grab this 2x4. I want to put this 2x4 2 feet out from the side here. Now the reason I want 2 feet is because I don't want it to be in the way when we go to put our next one in. So I'm going to do the same. We go to put our next joist in. We're going to do the same right here. So we're going to go 2 feet. Right there. Got a mark. Now we're going to grab our level. We want to check 2 different directions. I want to check this direction to make sure we're good there. Okay, we need to come down just a little bit. Check that direction. Yep. Just come all the way to my end, Buster. Tell me when I'm heading and let go. Okay. He's got that level, so I'm going to put a screw in this real quick. Okay, like it? Yep. Okay. Now, we're going to take the same level, we're going to put it off the other direction. See what we look like here. So this corner is going to need to come up just a little bit. Where's my 2-foot mark? We're going to come down just a hair. Oh, no, I'm sorry, up a little bit. Up, up. Okay, we may need to come up just a little bit on that one, but let's see what we look like right here. Pretty close. We need to come up just a little bit on that end. Let's check what this end looks like. Yeah, this end could stand to come up just a little bit too. So I'm just going to grab a couple of rocks. This moment, I'm just going to stuff a rock underneath this 2x4. Just get it up. So you can tell me when we're level. Okay. Okay, let's go ahead and check this side. Up a little bit. How do you look there? Okay. Go ahead and check across this again. Okay, we look good there. Now, let's make sure we're pushed. Oh, I have to move just a little bit here. I'm going to go ahead and put a screw in the end of this into this post just to hold us in place while we're moving. So I've got that line right there in the center. Now, next one I'm going to go ahead and do, we should be 8 feet from outside to outside, right on 8 feet. So now, I want to go ahead and measure outside to outside on this, or line. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and throw another screw in this side just to hold this in place. Okay, I got that screw in. Let's go ahead and just double check it again and make sure nothing moved on me. Okay, perfect. 96 inches. Now, let's go ahead and get some stilts onto that side. I'm going to throw a couple more screws in on the outside here just to keep these boards from pivoting, anything from moving on us. And right now we're just looking to get it real close. We've still got some adjustments to make. We haven't squared this up yet, but we just want to get close. So, man, we look good there. So let's go ahead and try to push that pole into the ground. So we're on, there you go. Let's check our level again. Oh man, that's looking fantastic. All right, we're gonna come to this side. Yeah, it's pretty close. Go ahead. Actually, we need that to come in a little bit, Hayden. Come to the 2 foot mark. Okay, looking good there. Now, we want to go ahead, we're going to take a couple of screws and we're going to check the straightness of this back line real quick. Just see where we are. So, same as I did on that beam, just right in between these two. You can drive a screw in just a little bit. All we're doing is checking to make sure this back is level. Or straight, I'm sorry. We know it's level. So, looking pretty good. This could come just a little bit. All right, that looks great. So, now, let's keep that here. We are going to, I'm just going to go ahead and pull this for the moment. Now we have to do layout for our other joists. So we're going to set the rest of the floor joists in here, and then we're going to set our posts for this just like we did in the center. Now, this is critical when we do layout here. We are going to lay this on 16-inch centers, okay? Which means our first joist stud is going to be, the outside of it is going to be right here. We're going to put our line at 1.5 inches, and then the X, okay? The X is covered by the stud. Our next one, we're going to go right at 16 inches. We're going to put our X at 16. Now this is called a 3/4 back method. We're going to come back 3/4 of an inch to 15 1/4, and that is where the edge of our stud will go. So the stud will cover the X, and with 16 centers, we're going to be on the red the whole way down. So we're going to put an X at the 32. We're going to come back 3/4 of an inch to 31 1/4. We're going to mark 48. We're going to put our X here. We're going to come back 3/4 of an inch to 47 1/4. We're going to mark 64 as our X. 63 3/4 is our mark. Okay, and then our last one will be 1.5 inches in. We don't really need to mark, but we can. So what we're going to do, I'm going to lay this down just so you can see how we're marking. So we're going to transfer this line up, and then I'm going to put this on the face to help me square up my boards. Transfer the X here. The stud is going to cover the X. Stud will cover that X. We're just going to keep moving all the way down. Okay, stud will cover that X. Okay, when we do the layout here, this is critical because this is what's going to define if these are off and not straight. When we go to put in our subfloor, we're not going to hit. So what we're going to do is measure from this end. Your tape measure is going to have red marks on it. Those are every 16 inches. That is where we want the center of those joists to land. So what we're going to do is we're going to lay this out hooked on the end here. We're going to measure 16. You're going to put an X right there at 16. You're going to come back 3/4 of an inch, so 15 1/4, and mark that. Now, let me just show you what we're going to do. We're going to draw a line here. We're going to carry that line down. This X is where you are going to put your floor joists up against this line. So the X will be covered when we do this. So we're going to keep moving our way down. So we always hook from the end. We're going to pull down. So our next mark is 32 inches. That is going to be our X. We're going to come to 31 1/4. That is going to be our line. Then, 48. We're going to move back to 47 1/4. Again, 48 is our X. Okay. Just going to lay this out all the way here. 64 is our X. We're going to go 63 1/4 is our line. 80 is our X. 79 1/4 is our line. And our last one is already done. So now we're going to come back, draw a line here, draw a line here. You got an X. Cover the X. Line, line, for an X. X. Okay, last one's done. So now we're going to go to the other side and we're going to do the exact same thing. Now it's important that we pull off of the same side when we do this so that these are parallel going down. So I'm going to come to the other side. I'm going to run tape all the way out. I'm going to mark 16, that's my X. 15 1/4 is my line. 32 is my X. 31 1/4 is my line. 48, my X. 47 1/4, my line. 64, my X. 63 1/4 is my line. Okay, and last one, 80 is my X. 79 1/4 is my line. So now I'm going to just transfer those all the way down, just like I did on the other side. So, line. Now, one of the things that I just want to point out, you don't want to do. You do not want to say, okay, the line is at 16, there is where my X is. So if I go and I've marked that one, now I measure to this one and I take my pencil and I mark 16, and then I move it and I mark 16 and I mark 16 and I mark 16. The challenge you have is if you're off by 1/8 of an inch, very, very easy to do. Not a big deal. Totally within spec here. The problem is if this one is off 1/8 of an inch, this one is off 1/8 of an inch, this one's now off 1/4. By the time you get to the end, you could be off 1 inch without ever knowing. So as long as you're pulling from one side and you're taking your 16 on tape measure increments, not the short increments, it will true itself up. So if that one's off by 1/8, this one will be back on. If this one's off by 1/8, it doesn't matter. I didn't need that one for this one. So it just keeps everything running true as it goes. So this is our first section. Now we're going to go ahead. We're going to grab the rest of our 2x6s. There's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those. We're going to slide those in. We're going to nail those off. We're going to square this up, and we're going to go ahead and get our post set on this one. Now we have all of our joists in here laid out. We're going to simply take our floor joist, we slide it in, one on each side here. We're going to make sure that we line up at the top. We're covering our X. We're going to shoot that in. So one of the things that's helpful sometimes, and you might want to consider it, if you're not confident on where that board is, you haven't done a lot of that, if you transfer this line to the outside, it'll give you a nailer line so you know where your board is on the inside. Something we do a lot, something I don't worry about. So now I'm going to come to this end here. See how this one is crowned up just a little bit? That's fine. We're going to push it down. We want to make sure we get it level. Nail it off. We're squared up. Next one. Okay, looking good. What else? Let's just go ahead and just hit this whole line. Got some ice on these boards, gives you an idea how cold it's been today. Okay. I'm just going to come around on the other side up. It should be really close. And nail them off. Good. Ready? Already in. Okay, we have our first set of floor joists all in. Now we want to go ahead and grab another one of those scrap 2x4s. Grab that for us. We're going to square this frame up next. So we know we got it level, and we're going to double check that again before we set posts. But now we want to make sure that this isn't what we call racked, which means we're out of square here. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to take our tape measure, and we're going to measure from outside corner to outside corner. 169.5. Now we're going to switch that. Okay, I'm 171, which means I'm not square right now, which is fine. What we're going to do is he's just going to hold that end. I'm going to push my end a little bit. Let's see where we are right now. Okay, I'm 170 right there. Check that. $170.5. So I just went a little bit too far. So I'm going to pull this back just a little bit. So 170.25 is what should get that done. So we're 170.25. Let me check that again. Oh, I lied. 170.5. So I'm going to come in just a little bit here. Okay, let's go ahead and grab that 2x4. We're going to lay it across the back here. Caddy corner. Let's move that level out of the way. Now, of course I put that. I'm going to take this board, move the gun out of the way. I'm going to put a screw in this end. Now we're going to take our measurement again. Okay, so 170.3/8. So that should be good. So I'm going to, without moving anything, I'm going to come in and I'm going to put a screw here. Okay, let's double check this again. Make sure that we are still square. I'm going to measure that corner. 170.75. I'm still at 1/4 of an inch. I'm going to go ahead and move it just a little bit more. Go ahead and push it my way just a little bit. I'm sorry, other way. Push a little more. Right there. Okay. So in half. Let's try this again. We're within a 1/16 of an inch there. That is well within acceptable standards. So I'm going to put just another couple of screws into the center here just to keep the whole thing squared up. But now we're square. It should be level. We're going to go ahead and check our level on this again. We know we're square. We want to make sure we're level. And then we're going to begin to set posts on these 4 corners just like we did in the center. So our level. So I could stand to come up just a little bit. So let's pull this. Tell me when you like it. Good. Let's go ahead and check this direction again. All right, that is perfect. So now we're going to do just like we did before. I'm going to go ahead and measure from the bottom of this. Get a little bit of dirt that fell in there. Go ahead and clean that one out. I'll move to this one. So again, we're measuring from the bottom of our hole to the bottom of that beam. So I'm 46 inches. So I'm going to cut from the bottom of that notch 46 inches off. We're going to slide this in, put a little gravel, go ahead and pack it in with concrete. Now, quite frankly, I think we've got the most difficult part of the whole build done at this point. Certainly my least favorite. Our first set of section of floor joists, it's in, the posts are concreted, it's square. Now we have something stable and square to work off of. So a couple of things that I want to point out. Number one, the posts that are coming up here, they don't come all the way to the top of the 10-inch ridge beam, and this one's a little hard to see because it's underneath the brace, but it sits down below. It's the way it's supposed to be. That's totally fine. The other thing you're going to notice is on the outside, the post has to go to the inside of this 2x10 here. This ledge that you're seeing here, we're actually going to have another board that attaches as we go. So there should be a ledge here about 1 inch. It's going to be flush behind. Make sure we come back from the backside. If you put it on from the front, we're not going to be able to attach the porch. You're not going to be able to attach your second 2x10 across the back. Okay, so very, very important. We come from the inside. Now we just go ahead and tuck this tight up against the joist right here. We tuck it tight up against the corner up there. Okay, and the measurements are in the directions, but if you just go tight to it, at this moment, we used a screw to temporarily hold this while we got everything set, and then we hit it with some nails from the nail gun. That's all just temporary right now. Once we get the second board on, we're actually gonna run some structural lags through that and affix it all permanently. But right now, that's not going anywhere. We're packed in concrete, we're solid, we're square, we've got, you see this support's not even doing anything anymore. It's sitting on its own 4 legs. So now we're gonna move on to kit 5. This is gonna be a section just like this. It's gonna be just 4 feet wide. Now we're gonna put a 2x6 on each side of the outside. So we're just gonna pick this one up, flush it with the top of my 2x10, and pick your end up just a little bit. Okay, we're gonna do the same thing on the other side, right here. Come down a little bit more. Okay, we'll do the same thing over here. Now, if you're not confident with what you're doing, you can always put a screw in this first, and then come back and hit it with a nail gun. Okay, one last one. Okay. Just like we did before, we're going to go ahead and measure to the center, and I want to mark this. So, again, we're 141, so it's going to be 70 and a half. And a half. A couple of marks in this. Okay, we're now marked. We're simply going to pick this up. We're going to walk it around. Set it. Now we're going to line our line up. There we go. Oh, too much. Okay. Now, we should be flush on the outside here. How do you look over there? Pretty good. Okay. There we go. I'm going to take, just for this moment, screw gun. I want to line the top up on this. Take a screw. Pull that in. Do the same thing on the other side. I want to make sure we're lined up. Check. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead, we're gonna toenail this in with the screw. So I'm gonna measure, it should be 4 feet. So that means from this joist to this joist should be 4 feet. So you come out just a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead and just put a line there so if it moves, I'll know. Take a screw. Make sure our line is down the center. Oh. Okay. Now that's secure. Now we're going to go ahead and do our layout like we did before. So we're going to come from, start back here on this side. We're going to measure 16 inches. We're going to put our X. We're going to come back and measure 15 1/4. Okay, that's our center on the X. Our edge of our 2x6 is going to go there. Next one on the red lines, we're 32. We exit, put a line at 31 1/4. And our next one's already set, so that one's done. So let's go ahead and go down to the other side. We're going to do, so let me transfer these lines. Okay, gonna come back to the other side. We're gonna do the exact same thing. So, right at the joint there, we're gonna come 16 inches, mark our X, line at 15 1/4. 32 X, line right at 31 1/4. Again, that's it for that one. And we're gonna go ahead, transfer this mark all the way down. Okay. So it's a good top line here. These 2x6s. Slide this in. Gonna get it lined up at the top. Straight on our line. Okay. Next one in. Same thing here. Come flush with the top. Line. Okay, coming around now off our other side. Okay, we've got nails in that. We're gonna go ahead now, we're gonna grab a couple more of those stickers out of that kit 3. We're gonna go ahead and get this level. Okay, we're level across that. Ready for our next section. There's no posts in this section, so we're going to go ahead. We're going to move on to our next kit, and we're going to go ahead and put that flooring together just like we did our very first one. It's a mirror image of that. So it's going to have 2x6 on one end that's going to butt up here. And it's going to have the 2x10 on the far end. just like we did before, we're going to pick this up. 2x10 will need to be outside of our beam. 2x6 is going to be flush up against that face. Up and push your side in. Okay, let's grab the screw gun. Oh, grab the screw gun. So throw a screw in it at the moment to hold it. Lined up on the outside. Okay. Yeah, it's in. Now we're gonna grab a couple of stilts. Now one of the things I want to do real quick before we even stilt this, let's go ahead and check square. So we're gonna run all the way out to the far corner. $277.5. $279. So we're gonna go ahead and push this over. Okay. 278.25. Too far. Okay, check it one more. Perfect. 278 3/8. We are completely square from end to end. Now we'll go ahead and run a screw in here to hold this in place. Now we're going to find our level. This side right here. We look perfect right there, so screw gun. Right there. Check this. So we're square, we're level, we're going go ahead and do the layout.